Thank you, Cabinet Secretary, for your brevity. And I call Michelle Ballantyne for no more than 11 minutes, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. That might be useful. Volunteers Week is a time to say thank you for the fantastic contribution that volunteers make. And this week, every day has a theme, and during the week, hundreds of events and celebrations will take place right across the UK, saying thank you to volunteers and recognising their invaluable and diverse contribution. This year, Volunteers Week, as the Minister said, is about volunteering for all, celebrating the huge range of people who give their time in so many ways. And I'm delighted to be opening for the Scottish Conservatives today, as volunteering has always been at the heart of my life and continues to be. I grew up in a household where my mother volunteered, Meals on Wheels, hospital visiting, local opera groups and sports teas, to name but a few. And my own volunteering started when I was at primary school, helping in the Sunday school and participating in village clean-ups. As I matured, so did my volunteering. It became skill-based, and my husband would say that I am not good at saying no when somebody approaches me to volunteer. But as Winston Churchill said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And the Scottish Government defined volunteering as the giving of time and energy through a third party, which can bring measurable benefits to the volunteer, individual beneficiaries, groups and organisations, communities, environment and society at large. It is a choice undertaken of one's own free will, and it is not motivated primarily for financial gain or for a wage or salary. This, of course, creates a distinction between formal volunteering through a third party, where your efforts will probably feature on the data on volunteering and gives us a picture of the financial benefit that volunteering brings, and that informal volunteering, the grass cutting you do for your elderly neighbour or the lifts you provide to a friend who needs to get to hospital. That giving often goes unnoticed by everyone, but those involved, and is not recorded in data collections, but it is that very kindness that the Minister referred to. Today, this Tuesday of the Volunteers Week, puts the spotlight on young volunteers. And as such, I take great pleasure today in being able to note that youth volunteering has been steadily increasing, with youth participation now at around 52%. Initiatives such as John Muir, the Duke of Edinburgh's Award and Saltire Awards have given focus to young people's volunteering and allowed them to build the confidence, skills and readiness for work or further education. New friends have been made and lifelong memories created. But the challenge will be now how we maintain the level of engagement with volunteering as our young people become adults, because adult participation hovers at just 27%. Volunteer numbers in Scotland have not changed much in the last decade, whilst volunteer numbers in general have been in steady decline since 2010. So if it wasn't for our young people, we might be seeing a different figure. And the most common reason that people cite for why they stopped volunteering is a lack of time. As young people move into the workplace and they are likely to feel that they have less time to give up to volunteering, or as family commitments take over and any spare time is spent with family. But for those who do continue to give up their time, we must be wholeheartedly grateful. They not only contribute to the workings of society and communities, they enhance the lives of so many people within their communities, helping to bring people closer together and working towards creating a happier, healthier environment for us all. In the Scottish Borders, 30% of adults volunteer formally, with even more contributing their time informally. And as was said earlier, the latest Scottish Household Survey showed that in 2016, formal volunteers in Scotland contributed just under 137 million hours of help, worth 2 billion to the local economies, not something we can ignore. And although it is perhaps a rather crude estimation of the value of volunteers, as there is far more to their worth than pound size, this is, however, based on the time in hours that have been contributed, multiplied by the average median wage. So what does that mean in one small town? In my hometown of Selkirk, music in the town is provided by the silver band, the flute band, the pipe band, all of which teach the next generation of musicians. The common riding and agricultural show is organised and run by volunteers. The local war memorial and garden is built and maintained by volunteers. The cricket club, the football club, the rugby club, the swimming club, the bowling club, the riding club are all delivered and run by volunteers. The 2 new fantastic play parks were created through the dedication and fundraising by volunteers. Town centre buildings are being developed by the volunteers of the development company. Cubs, Scouts, Brownies, Guides, Army Cadets are all delivered by volunteers. The Kayak Club, the Archery Club, the local opera show and many of the music and entertainment events in the town are organised and run by volunteers. And my personal shout out is for the beautiful estate of the Haining, which I'm proud to be the trustee of, even if it does give me a few sleepless nights. The estate was left for the benefit of the people of Selkirkshire, and it's managed and run by a team of amazing volunteers who are engaged in renovating the estate and providing a wonderful place for local people to hold events, special days, and to just enjoy all year round. Whilst the Community Council, the Chamber of Trade, the casting organisations all provide a massive input of voluntary work into the town. Without them, we would have no Christmas lights, no farmers' markets, and no celebration events. And all of this before we get to parent-teacher councils and all of the individual volunteering that takes place. But perhaps the most important thing that any volunteer can bring to an organisation is their enthusiasm and experience, as well as the personal, social and community benefits. These, of course, are more difficult to measure than monetary value, but are arguably more important because they create the society in which we live. At present in Scotland, women and girls are more likely to volunteer than men and boys, and those from higher socioeconomic backgrounds are more likely to formally volunteer, whereas those from the lowest socioeconomic backgrounds are more likely to volunteer informally, helping out neighbours and community initiatives, rather than volunteering through established organisations. Arguably, those who are not engaged could sometimes have the most to gain from volunteering. There is continued evidence of underrepresentation of disadvantaged groups in volunteering. And of course, volunteering brings a sense of belonging and well-being, as well as helping people engage with their local community, giving them a sense of purpose. A creation of community resilience can be generated by volunteering, as everyone comes together for the benefit of each other. Volunteering can improve youth engagement, address social exclusion, increase community engagement, and help towards a fair and equitable society. But in the 50 years I have been volunteering, I have seen a lot of changes, not least of all the level of paperwork and responsibility that has in some cases overtaken many of the pleasures of volunteering. There is a danger that as we professionalise volunteering, individuals will become more reluctant to take on the lead responsibilities, and the onus will be pushed onto funding paid coordinators. When I was searching through, looking to how do we evidence how much volunteering gives us, one of the things I looked for was how does it improve your well-being, not only for individuals but also for their communities. And interestingly, the DWTP and Cabinet Office has worked to establish a benefit of well-being for volunteers, and found that a 1.9% higher life satisfaction could be accrued for those who give up their time compared to non-volunteers. Now, I suppose that depends slightly on where your life satisfaction started, but I suppose in my own way would maybe challenge that, because I've often felt that it is the volunteering in my life that has given me the most satisfaction and often made me the happiest. Those strange nights where you went out in the middle of night and planted up the town so that in the morning when the people came out to the festival, it looked different to that night when they went home. It was that quiet pleasure that we all went home with, chuckling to ourselves that we'd made a real difference and we were going to put smiles on people's faces in the morning. Volunteering for all is a theme that provides the prospect to engage people who wouldn't normally partake with volunteering opportunities. We must learn how they can be better supported, where new opportunities should be developed, and where to increase access to volunteering opportunities for the benefit of everyone living in Scotland. Because members, volunteers are not paid, not because they are worthless, but because they are priceless. And today is a day to say thank you to everyone who has delivered any volunteering, and to say to anybody that hasn't, join in, volunteer, it'll make a difference in your life. Thank you.